is Noah? You know, for centuries, Christians have been learning about Noah. And not only do they record in paintings and murals from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th centuries and so on about Noah, but they also learned the lessons that God wanted to teach us through the life of Noah. But today, Noah, well, there's a lot of misunderstanding about the character of Noah. There's even been a movie made not too long ago about Noah that, well, they get the name of the biblical character Noah correct, and yes, they get the understanding that there was a boat that was going to be built, and there was going to be a judgment of water, but just about everything else they get wrong in one way or another. No, this isn't the Noah of the Bible. It makes an interesting story, and Russell Crowe, you gotta love him, but that's not the Noah of the Bible. This is more so the Noah of the Bible. And if you grew up going to Sunday school class, you learned several things about Noah. You learned about the animals that God brought to Noah to be able to put upon the ark, and you learned of the building of the ark and how big the ark is and what it was made of, and his family, and so many other things. But I'm afraid because we were taught that when we were children, that, well, we think of the ark as like this in our mind. It's as if it's a little cartoon, that it didn't really happen. It didn't really mean anything. It was just a fanciful story that you tell children to teach spiritual truth. But that is the farthest thing from the truth. As we grow up, we may start thinking, well, I want to see the evidence of the ark, and we may even go on large quests to be able to find the remains of the ark, one way or the other. And there's all kinds of different theories that you can search out on the internet about where the ark is today. But I want to tell you that the ark was real. The judgment that God brought upon the earth because of the wickedness of man was real. And those evidences can be seen of a worldwide flood in our fossil layers today and all of the devastation and destruction that took place at that time. But God provided a way. He provided a way of salvation for the folks that would get in the boat to prepare the ark, if you will, as one way of salvation from the coming judgment. The scriptures teach us quite a bit about Noah. And in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 7, starts a wonderful teaching of various different lessons that believers today can think about Noah. Noah was a righteous man. And Hebrews 11:7 says, by faith Noah, being divinely warned of things not yet seen, moved with godly fear, he prepared an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to faith. Lessons learned from Noah. Noah challenges us to commit to the unseen. There was no visible evidence of a coming flood, yet Noah considered God's word far more trustworthy than what he perceived. He made his choice accordingly. You know, Noah got to hear, most likely audibly, the voice of God. And no, you and I don't audibly hear the voice of God today, but we have been given the scriptures, the Bible, to be able to look into to see, you know, what does God say about these areas of our life? And sometimes they are unseen. The evidence is unseen of what the end result will be if we obey God. And yet, we are to trust God even more than what we can see and believe that God is right, even when other things in the world may tell us something different, or our heart or our own thoughts say something completely different. Let's trust God. Noah challenges us to persistence. It's easy to undertake a task when we can finish in a few minutes or a few days. It is far more difficult to remain committed to tasks that we must faithfully perform for years before we see any benefits. Let us be faithful even in the difficult tasks. Notice that he prepared an ark for the saving of his household. Imagine the difficulty of preparing that ark, all the time and energy that it went into building this massive a boat, this ship that would carry all of humanity, all those that would go into the ark, and also all of the animals and food in preparation for that time of judgment. The cages, the animals, imagine what it must have been like in that vessel. And Noah was obedient, and he was committed to persistence. Noah challenges us to withstand peer pressure. Let us determine in our hearts to please God, whether we please others or not. So many of our choices are made so we will fit in with others, to please them or to avoid their criticism. Noah was so committed to his God-given course that he could not be influenced to abandon it, even though the entire world thought him a fool. He determined to please God. He determined to please God, and we can also. By faith, Noah, being divinely warned of things not yet seen, he moved with godly fear, a reverence for God. He prepared an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to faith. I believe that as Noah was building that ark, and as it was getting closer and closer to being completed, and Noah knew that judgment was coming, I believe Noah got more and more passionate about telling those around him of the one way of salvation that God had prepared through the ark. You know, today there is one way of salvation, and it's not through getting on a boat, but it is one way of salvation, to come to Christ and seek his forgiveness for our salvation. Christian, if you're listening to me, I want to encourage you to be faithful to telling others about that one way of salvation. Whether they listen or they don't, please be faithful in doing that.